Hi, I'm Brian, and I'm the creator of the comic The Cat Who Barks. So The Cat Who Barks is a story about Grady, a good student who values a grade a little bit too much, and for all his life, he knows his knowledge from textbooks. So one day he went out of school and found out that cat actually barks instead of meows. So in the book, we will follow the journey of Grady and his dilemma facing the truth outside of school. Hey, what inspired me to submit to Sound Anthology? Because I work in a comic studio, and then my boss just shared there's this call for entry for Sound Anthology from all around Southeast Asia. And when I see the deadlines and stuff, I see it's quite long. So I think I can handle it after my day job. At night, I can still do some comics in hope that I can be productive, and if I get through the anthology, I will get paid doing what I love. So the inspiration behind The Cat Who Barks is at that time I was reading a lot of comics from Nasajike Miyazaki, a Japanese mangaka. So he creates a lot of short stories, and his stories are surreal and whimsical, but at the same time it feels real and important. So maybe at the back of my head, I was trying to achieve that kind of tone for this comic. So Sound Anthology, of course, with the theme of sound. So at that time, I tried a lot of stuff like the growling of hungry stomach and catching thunders. But then a title came, The Cat Who Barks. So it just feels right and feels interesting that as I write the story along, it just came easy for me. So I think valuing grades too much is a thing for us in Southeast Asia. I know in Singapore you just call it kiasu. And so it was the kind of thing for me too, as a student. And for me, it affects my learning. So instead of learning, I was just kind of memorizing what my school lessons. And after test, I would just forget everything, So it's kind of a waste of time, a bit. But I don't regret it a bit because it makes me who I am today. But yeah, I will not recommend it for my little brothers or sisters. Screw the scores. Learn other stuff and do what you want. Okay, so after I got the title, The Cat Who Barks, I was trying to come up with a character, which kind of character will make it interesting if he meets the cat who barks. So then Brady came, a student who knows nothing but textbooks. So when the textbook says the cat meows, the cat meows. But then one day, he went out of school and actually saw that the cat actually barks. So yeah, that's the character. After I got Brady, everything else just came along, the teacher and his classmates and the cats, the story, the theme, everything just came along easy. The biggest block will be in the production phase. I got the story and the storyboard kind of easy, but then the production phase was kind of difficult for me because I myself is a technically low skilled artist. I don't draw really good, and my drawings are not aesthetically pleasing, So I was thinking very hard, how to make this comic looks good so that people will not turn off by the visual. It was a lot of trial and error, but the editors, especially Charis Loke, she helped a lot during the production phase. For the main character, Grady, I designed him like a normal student in Southeast Asia. He wears uniform. He doesn't have any long hair and stuff. He's very well cut. But then his eyes, I made it smaller. In the comics, it's like just lines. It kind of symbolizes his limited worldview. He knows nothing outside of school. All he knows is just textbooks. And as the story goes, he meets cat who barks, that is actually not the same as the textbook. So his eyes is wide open now as the story goes. The cats, I was trying to be faithful for the South Asia topic. So for the 4 cats that you see in the comics, it's actually four species of cats in South Asia. So for the black, it will be Oriental short hair, and the other one will be Kucing Kampung. I forget the other 2, but yeah, it's all South Asian cats. Yeah, and for the schools, if you see in the comic, the school will be just rigid power. I was trying to say the rigid system of education, and I based it on the model of old colonial building. So it's kind of old-fashioned. We need to move through that system in some way. Yeah, I don't really say it in the story, but it's what the visual says. For the audience I had in mind, it's actually just me. I just trying to make a comic that I personally like. Yeah, it's the same for every of my works. If I feel right, and I just hope that everybody will feel the same. And for the message, actually, as I said, I only came up with the title. Actually, the title came first. This whole comic is just for the title, and the message just came along. About the great stuff. This education system, the truth. It's actually not what I have in mind, but it came along with the story. So if the audience gets any message out of it, it's great. But if you don't, I just want you guys to feel entertained by reading the comics. Maybe the tone of the story is quirky, so it helps on being funny. Everything you read, the title itself, once you open the comic, the cat who barks kind of brings some kind of humor in it, and maybe the character's expression. Yeah, I don't know. I just find everything feels right. There are no rules in comics, but for me, myself, I have one rule, which is to stay true to myself. So I think if you yourself have the urge to tell something about Southeast Asia, maybe if you like batik or stuff, you can totally tell about it. But I myself, frankly, I'm not interested in those stuffs. But I, as a Southeast Asian, I went through stuff as a student in Southeast Asian, which is valuing grades too much. Maybe the education system is too rigid and stuff. So yeah, by being true to myself, then I can bring those stuffs up, Even if you are not deliberate about it, even if you know it or you do not know it, I think the identity of Southeast Asia will come up eventually if you stay true to yourself. There are a lot of them, but I have to say my favorite one is One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. As a reader and as a creator, he just amazes me in both aspects. So as a reader, since I was a kid until now, I'm still being touched by One Piece. I still laugh at the joke. I still get goosebumps every time cool moments comes out. I cry at sad scenes. I think that's what makes comic great. It evokes emotion from you. Even though there's no sound, unlike films, but with a good craftsmanship like Eiichiro Oda, you can really touch people. And as creator, I think the consistency is what inspired me the most. That guy creates comic as old as I am, 23 years of comics, week in, week out, without dropping any qualities at all. So, I think that's an ideal that I want to achieve. Bye. Thanks for watching.